Hi guys, Shurit here, and this is the second locals feature match, the fourth game, DDD versus Marincess. And this time also, a colleague is here to support me because I'm not very familiar with DDD.
Yes, so I'm here to guide you through some of the technical play taking place once again. It seems like the DD players going first. We have 1-for-1 discarding Lamia. This is quite strong because we have a way to access Kepler and therefore gate without using our normal summon. So we can easily get to a Gilgamesh without being forced to normal summon. It appears that we have a Veiler on our Kepler, but we have the Cold Buy to circumvent that. So we get to search our contract anyways, which then allows us to access Copernicus is probably the best one because it gives us access to another fusion summon. And we have two monsters on the field which can then be used to go for Gilgamesh. Instead we see Griffin being used. This is probably not ideal because you can still access Griffin through Gilgamesh by setting Griffin and Thomas in the scales. So you still have two level 4s to go into Caesar after that. And this is probably a mistake which will cost him one additional interruption, because this way he has access to one less fusion summon. So we will most likely not see High King Caesar be summoned this game, which is quite unfortunate, but we'll see how far we can take this anyways. We are using Cerberus's effect to increase Kepler's level to be level 4, so we can go for a rank 4 and then foretell, so we can do damage, and by linking it off we can use its effect to get a DD card from our deck to the graveyard. This acts as a fusion summon most of the time, so Necroslime in this case. That's pretty decent. With Necroslime we can then fusion summon, probably using the Gilgamesh, since we don't need it anymore, and we can use Small Jingus then. Now we can trigger Small Jingus by overlaying Marincess on our Gilgamesh. This can bring back Griffin, for example, which can then search a DD card. And since we haven't normal summoned yet, this will most likely be Orthros to access Siegfried. Yes, it seems to be Orthros. So we will normal summon Orthros and then go for Siegfried. We could also... No, Baroness is no longer an option because we've used Gilgamesh. So let's see where this goes from here. There should still be some options with Lamia, but we seem to be just passing. Okay, interesting choice. So let's see what the opponent can do to out this board. We see an imperm coming down. This can of course just be negated technically, but we have a droplet as well, which will negate our negation, so we have both our interruptions just taken care of very easily. Again, with the different line of play, we still would have had a High King Caesar at this point, which would have allowed for a lot more interruption, but unfortunately this is not the case. And we also have a triple tactics talent. Okay, we seem to opt to draw 2 cards. We could have also taken one of the monsters, but apparently that was not necessary. So we'll see what this Marincess deck can now do to get through this board, which consists of no interruptions whatsoever.
Discarding side mining, of course, searching probably the Marincess blue slug, yes. No, not the Marincess blue slug. This is the Marincess... Forgot the name. Marincess...
Dr. Fish, I think.
Yeah, Marincess... what is it called? Sorry guys, I don't know the name anymore. Sorry.
So we see 2 level 4s, which can then lead into some link climbing shenanigans. Or maybe Xyz plays, but most likely not.
If you want to suck a card in, guys, use the Deus Machinex to suck in the The Link 3, the
Called triangle, I think.
chord triangle, yes. This is important, guys. You can't use the ghost spell because it was a chain. There was a chain blocking.
So the blue slug was chaining 1 and the other was chaining 2, which means you can no longer respond to chaining 1. And we see
Unfortunate,
no Marincess cards.
No Marincess card. Oh yeah, but he still gets his Marincess wave back. Yes, getting the access to the field spell. And we have the if the field spell is out in the field, you can activate the spell card, which becomes a tour guide. It's really insane.
Now, the interesting question, though, is can he deal with all of these monsters? Because everyone that he doesn't deal with provides a lot of follow-up for the DDD player to use, especially the revive. So the Jingus should definitely be taken care of. The Siegfried can provide some life point gain. And we see, I think it's a bell being used on the Coral Anemone. So that's one more interruption still. But I think that's still not going to be enough to hold his place entirely. Let's see it.
It's pretty interesting to see both decks. They have a lot of tools. And there's the spell card that becomes a tour guide. Very good. The thing is, how can he beat this strong board? He still has to play against Secret and Marincess.
He can most likely beat over one of the things, but maybe two. But as long as one of them is still there, there's still a lot of options to go through, because we still can search with Gate. We can still Pendulum Summon. We can trigger the revive when it's still there. So there's a lot of stuff we can still do. We also have the normal summon of Rage, which allows us to normal summon level 5 or higher monsters without tributing. So we can go for a Ragnarok line, which then allows us to easily dismantle the opponent's board. But we'll see how far we can get here.
And there's the Marincess triangle.
So this would be the point where we would like to use Marincess, but unfortunately it's negated, so that's not going to happen. And we seem to have just shuffled a few cards back. I'm assuming they dropped from the top of the deck, because our hand hasn't changed. And there's a Ghost Mourner, okay. Decent interruption. But now that I've seen that both Ghost Mourner and Ghost Bell were in the hand, we discarded a DD monster to activate 1/1, which was not ideal in that case, because we could have just summoned it from hand by just Pendulum Summoning. So we should have instead probably gotten rid of one of the interruptions to end on High Caesar instead. So that way we would have had 2 more interruptions instead of just having the 1 hand trap.
He could have negated the spell tour guide effect. That would be insane. And here's a misplay with the new Link 4 monster and Zilantis. Yes, the thing is, it banishes. Yes, guys, but on the resolution, you also have to special summon the materials back, either in defense or face down position. But you have to resolve it. This was a big misplay, and it could have provided a lot more field pressure to the opponent. But yeah, sorry for the misplay, guys.
So obviously this is a major disadvantage for the DDD player, but I'm pretty sure we can still recover from this, because now at this point there's only one 2500 that essentially does nothing, and we can easily just get rid of it by using Ragnarok and banishing it. We still have a Pendulum Summon, we still have a Search, we have a lot of follow-up here. As long as we get to one revive, we can essentially just get back everything in our graveyard. So we should be pretty good here still. So let's see what lines we are going for. It seems we're activating Gate, probably to search Ragnarok, I would say. Let's see what happens here. No, we search Copernicus. That's fine, I guess. We do still have access to Vice Typhon, so we still have a fusion summon to go through. So I guess that's probably the way we're going about this. We could Pendulum Summon the Copernicus here, and also Pendulum Summon something back from the extra deck. No, we intend to normal summon it instead. Interesting. So we're probably gonna send Vice Typhon here. Let's see it. It seems we are clarifying what Zelantis can actually do here. And there is... yes, there's Vice Typhon. So now we can fusion summon from grave using it and another DD monster from grave. But instead we opt to go for Lamia. I'm not entirely sure why we do that. Yeah, we can go for Gilgamesh, but why would we not fusion summon first? I suppose to get to level 4s on the field, but we could have just done that by Pendulum Summon the Copernicus, so that's not really ideal. Now we are fusion summoning, probably for High King Genghis. Yes, there it is. I'm pretty sure we have gone through Siegfried, and we also have gone through Caesar, so there are no real materials or no real monsters that we can summon with these two materials. So they are just clogging up the board. So this is absolutely not ideal. At least we probably should have put them in attack mode to just be able to deal more damage. Also, we shouldn't forget that we still have the Cerberus in scale, which can provide a 400 permanent attack boost. So that's also an additional source of damage that we can't forget about. I'm assuming we're now going to trigger the revive for something in our graveyard, maybe the Siegfried. No, we're going for an overlay first, sure. This is then definitely going to trigger the revive. It should be Siegfried here, but we're opting for Caesar. But there's no way to get the Caesar out off the field because we don't have any Gilgameshes left. So this is definitely not a good idea. So we have a 2400 beat stick instead of having a 2800 that could just negate a spell trap. So this is absolutely not useful. We can main phase 2 go for Zeus. No, we cannot, because Orthros was special summoned, so we are locked into Fiends. And yeah, I guess that's just gonna be it, which is unfortunate. There was definitely a lot more that could have been done here.
Always check what you have left in your extra deck, guys. You don't want to make this misplay. He could have had a secret. That would have been a much better interruption.
We still seem to have one set card. If that's a Headhunt though, that's not good because it cannot activate since we don't have any monster zones to use. But it's not. It's instead an Eternal Darkness, which is decent in most matchups, but unfortunately not in a link-focused matchup since it's only shutdowns Tribute Summons, Fusion Summons, Synchro, and Xyz Summons, but not Link Summons. But it still has some utility here because it also denies our monsters from being targeted by spell cards or trap cards. So that's at least something, I suppose. But probably not ideal still. We have a Desires going off here. Let's see if they find anything useful from that.
He better draw something good, but he also has massive resources in the graveyard he can use.
And he's checking his graveyard to see, yes, there's the dive.
Using the Marincess triangle to banish it, and now special summoning 2 monsters, which link results in Link 3.
So getting a lot of resources back, but I'm not sure how much that's going to help us, because we still have to contend a huge board here. And we also still have the Machinex as an interruption, so if they choose to link into link 3 here, then they could just lose everything to the Machinex. So let's see how this turns out. And obviously if we have a point where we want to use the Machinex, there's no problem here, since we can just get rid of the contract that doesn't really do much in this matchup anyways. And after that we have an additional usage of Machinex, since it has 2 materials at that point. So this is quite good of a position for the DDD player to be in. Let's see, we have a lot of material on the Marincess player's side, but probably not a whole lot they can go into here, especially if they want to try and play around Machinex. We see some effects being activated, but nothing to really resolve the board. So maybe the extra deck can provide some help here, but I doubt there's much there. We can't go for anything but link summons, and since we are locked into waters, I don't see a lot of water links that are useful here. Oh, we're trying to Xyz summon. That's definitely not legal, since the Eternal Darkness is still on the field, and since we control 2 DD cards in our Pendulum Zone, our opponent is not allowed to fusion, synchro, or Xyz summon with monsters on the field. Let's see if they catch that. It appears that they want to use the effect of the Stealth Kraken to destroy the Machinex. And nobody seems to have caught that the Stealth Kraken shouldn't be on the field. Let's see, the DD players reading their own card and saying, "Oh well, this shouldn't have happened. Let's rewind." So it appears someone has actually read their own cards here, and we'll see how this is going to get resolved.
Yes, good job. Always read your cards, guys. Know your cards.
Absolutely. Sometimes they're better than you think. And there it returns to the extra deck. So our Marincess player has to come up with a different solution to solve this dilemma. Let's see what they go for. Probably a link board at this point, since that's pretty much the only thing they can do. But if they try to activate effects, then our Machinex can just use the monster as material and just provide additional interruptions for the DDD player. And well, if they just can't break the board, they are dead on the follow-up turn to a lot of different things.
Yeah, the Marincess player seems to be struggling because, yes, he can't really do much. Going for the Marincess slug line, but, well, chain blocking, of course, but you don't want to suck in the slug, of course.
Definitely not. And we see 5 cards being excavated, but seemingly no Marincess cards. That's unfortunate. Okay.
Yeah, due to the new support, usually you always get at least 1 Marincess card, but this was very unfortunate.
Well, let's see what additional options they have to get rid of the monsters on this board. We are going for a link summon, it seems. Or not.
The problem is you can't go into Bubble Reef, because if you use its effect, yeah, you know you're gonna lose to Machinex. So what are you gonna do?
So there's a link 3 being summoned here.
Yes, into Marble Rock, but he can't. He can use it to get resources back, but he will get sucked in. So he didn't use it. Oh, he didn't use. Okay,
that's interesting and probably not optimal, but okay, we didn't see another Marincess card there. So let's see if they can still recover from this. We probably want to use Battle Ocean to get a big beat stick here, But I don't think that's gonna be enough. We might have access to Ragnarok by crashing the Caesar and then getting the gate and then tribute summoning, or maybe just normal summoning the Ragnarok, which would then allow us to get rid of big monsters here. Oh, they choose to use the effect. That is definitely a fatal mistake here, because Marincess can now just use its effect and basically rid them of everything they have. So this was definitely not played optimally, especially with the Ghost Ogre earlier. So we see that there are still some things that need to be learned in this matchup specifically.
Always learn from your mistakes, guys.
Someone appears to be reading something. I think it's the Battle Ocean that's being read here. So yeah, it would be a big monster, but then again, there's just Marincess who can just suck it in. So what are we waiting for here?
This is also a misplay. He should have linked off the Coral Anemone to equip it again and get more pluses, but he can now only equip like Blue Slug, the Field Spell Searcher, and Marbled Rock, who are useless equipped to a monster.
And now on resolution, the resolution of the train continues, so that Marincess can take that monster. Of course, we have to get rid of the contract, but it doesn't provide a lot of utility in this matchup anyways, so we might as well just to get rid of this huge monster. And the Marincess seems to have died somehow, but that doesn't matter. It did what it was supposed to do, so the huge monster is gone. The Battle Ocean cannot use its effect anymore, so I doubt there's much the Marincess player can do here, since next turn they will just be overrun by the sheer amount of monsters on the DDD player side. We've run over Orthros, which is fine, I guess, but they can just Pendulum Summon it anyway, so not a whole lot that can be done here. Let's see if the top deck is anything relevant. We're Pendulum Summoning Orthros, turning Griffin into attack, and we seem to have drawn a Phantasme, which doesn't do a lot. So yeah, I guess we'll probably just maybe use Cerberus and then go into battle phase to attack for game. Or just attack for game anyways, okay. But that should definitely be enough to close out this game.
At this point, you should scoop, guys, because you can't win. He can't out this board. He used too much of his extra deck of already, and he can't win. Yes,
and
he scooped.
There's the scoop. So we will definitely see the Marincess player trying to go first here. So for the DDD player, we probably want to slide in Board Breakers instead of hand traps. So something like evenly matched, maybe something like Lightning Storm, Dark Ruler, anything of that sort. And once we've broken their board, we can just set up our own and lock our opponent out of playing. So we'll see how far the Marincess player can get, and then how easily we can maybe chew through that board.
Keep in mind, guys, the Marincess player can make a board with a spell trap negate. So you should probably, yeah, you should play Dark Ruler no more. You should side it in.
Well, one spell trap negate is probably not enough to kill DDDs in its tracks, because yes, you have your gate, which you sometimes rely on, but for the most part, you don't necessarily need gate to get into your combos, since you have stuff like Swirl Slime, which can easily just get into combos without using gate, or Copernicus, which also doesn't use any spell activations. So there's a lot of things that you can do, especially since Gilgamesh doesn't activate the spell cards, but they just place them. So it can even work under anti-spell fragrance, which is extremely useful, because otherwise this deck would lose very much strongly against anti-spell. So we'll see what options the Marincess player chooses to run to maybe combat this.
Also, what is also good, guys, you can run Ghost Ogre against Marincess, because the field spell is the huge choke point. It's like, yeah, it's like it's calling like I'm the target. Yes.
But as we saw previously, you definitely don't want to run Ghost Ogre against Gilgamesh specifically, since it just provides way too much advantage. And we see an Ash on the normal summon immediately. That's quite strong.
Yes, you want to deny the opponent from dumping Marincess card, obviously. But here's a chain blocking again. First searching the field spell, and second excavating three cards from the deck. Hopefully there will be some.
And
yes,
we see a wave. That's very strong.
Is very lucky, because wave is only a one-off, but yeah, he somehow managed to rip it off. Yes. Very lucky and very, very strong. But we saw him milling or excavating really badly last game. Now he's even. Yes.
It's definitely nothing compared to the usual T-Elements luck with milling 3 different names in every chain.
We know, guys, the best deck is. We know what. Oh, it's okay.
So we see some link climbing happening here. Coral Anemone getting on the field to reborn something.
You definitely want to go into Marbled Rock to recover even more resources. It's very important.
And we see, I think it's a bell being thrown on this Coral Anemone, so we won't see a lot of link climbing, at least not originating from the graveyard. So let's see how we can get through this. It appears not at all. Okay, so we have a wave, so 1 negate, but that's pretty much it. And I think with this hand we can definitely play through that. So we see Swell Slime and a Griffin. That's already quite strong. If we have another DD monster in our hand, we can immediately special summon it out and then use Jingus to get back the Griffin. Okay, so we see Kepler Channeling 1, Griffin, Ragnar, what's it called? Jingus Chain 2, but we see both of them being negated by Wave and by Veiler. So this should probably do a lot to halt our plays, but we could still link off into Gilgamesh and extend at least somewhat, because Gilgamesh can at least go into some scales to provide follow-up, and then we can go into Machinex to have a beatstick, as well as maybe a way to get to Zeus. So let's see what we do here. We go for the Machinex, for the Gilgamesh. Let's see what scales we get. Probably Rage and maybe Ragnarok, I'd say, are probably the best ones here. Depending, of course, of what's the last card in the hand here. But since we don't know that, I think Rage and Ragnarok would be the best choice. And yes, there's Rage and there's Ragnarok, so they opt for exactly that. And there's a Ghost Ogre on the... Okay, I see. Ghost Ogre on the Gilgamesh, so this is going to give us a lot of advantage here, since we can easily just summon anything from our extra deck or graveyard, which will then also trigger the Ragnarok and Scale to reborn something else as well. This way we can even get back the Griffin from our graveyard to search a DD card. So essentially our opponent has just allowed us everything they've denied us previously. So yeah, this basically just ruined the entire game, I think. And there comes a revive that can trigger off of the revive of Ragnarok. So we can get back the Griffin, which will then be able to search and revive something else from the Jingus as well. Let's see if we remember that they're in the same chain. Yes, we do. Great. That's a common mistake for beginners of this deck, that sometimes you miss your triggers because they all happen simultaneously. And we see Gilgamesh coming back, or no? Yeah, Gilgamesh coming back, okay. And Headhunt is very strong here, because we can easily just get rid of anything that might threaten us, like a big monster or something. We can easily just take, and we get a Mechanics as well, which doesn't do a whole lot here since we don't have any contracts, but it's a beat stick, so we can get over the Coral Anemone for a bit of damage. We unfortunately cannot overlay for Zeus since we've used Gilgamesh, which locks us into DD monsters for the rest of the turn. And we also have triple tactics talent.
But there's the Ash,
okay,
guys.
so it's being ashed, which is perfectly fine though. So this is very difficult for the Marincess player to out. That might seem innocuous with only a few interruptions, but the Headhunt can prove to be quite strong on its own. You probably should have already used it on the normal summon here, since I don't see a lot of ways to extend past that. But this way we'll just have to chew through more monsters, but we'll see if this is enough to get through this. I don't think so.
He could have denied everything, guys, if he just, stole the Marincess Seahorse.
But it's probably still fine, since at some point we'll most likely link it to Link 2. There it is, actually, and then we can just steal that, so we should be fine here. Let's see. There's a Link 2, so you want to use the effect? No, we will just take that. The effect is negated, and we keep it until the end of the next turn. So, and since it's from the exterior, it's even treated as DDD monster, so we can easily just overlay a Machinax once we get rid of the one that's currently on the field. And we see Battle Ocean being activated, and Dive, it seems, so that's Tour Guide spell. So we'll probably get some advantage here, but probably not enough to chew through this entire board, I would imagine. I'm not quite sure what's happening here. Okay, so we see two level 4s. This pretty much guarantees an Xyz summon, sure. Probably the Stealth Kraken, yes. Okay, so we are approaching timeout, and we appear to be using Stealth Kraken to gain a life point advantage over our opponent, but unfortunately this is not possible since Rage is in our scale, so we wouldn't have taken any damage here. And since we won the first game, this would have resulted in a match win for the DDD player.
Unfortunately, the DDD player didn't realize it, and he missed it. This was not a draw officially. He would have won this game, but unfortunately he didn't. Yeah, did you like the matchup? Comment down below and subscribe. Shurit-Master over and out.